Hi, this is Susan. It's almost summer. We've already had 100 degrees here in Texas, so I just thought I'd jump right in and show you some seashell, sea life. You can see I started with the table. I had the chair that it had stains all on it, and so I repainted it. The glue tends to stain those, and so I had bought these toothpicks that have 250 count, extra long, really nice. These are sometimes called cocktail toothpicks. I got these at Walmart, $3.17 before tax. And so I was thinking, what can I do with these? And so it occurred to me to use one of these big jumbo popsicle sticks and try making this little table. And so you just simply use 4 legs. Now this turned out to be 1/16 scale. This chair is 1/12 scale, as far as I'm aware. Then it was a dollhouse chair. And so these do run a little small in conjunction. So I'd say this is 1/16. But I'm thinking about remaking it. I'm showing you the way that it's made, but I'm going to remake it and do it with maybe a skewer. So take your big this is the jumbo. This is the largest of these. Take that and make your design at each end, and that'll just save you a little bit of sanding. I had to glue this back together with wood glue. You can see how it's split. So go through them, try to find ones that aren't split. But okay, so then you need to find where you go in to put your toothpicks. So if you'll cut a rectangle, that'll help. If you put the rectangle from having your points to points, it'll help you keep it in the shape you need. So this size is bigger. You can see I did this one bigger. It'll be more 1/12 scale to the chair. So let me show you, before we look at it, let me just show you some miniature things that I made. Some of these I had, some of them in the past, and some I made. So this little box here is showing you how to make like a drawer style. It's just got one of those bigger pins as the pull, and just using lace and a little bit of the greenery. That's that reindeer moss. And I'll show you how to make a coral. And I think I got these little shells at Hobby Lobby, but I'm sure they have them. Just always, look for the smallest of shells. Oh, this down here, I haven't glued this, but it's cute for, I bought a whole bunch of charms off of Temu, a whole bag. It was like 100 charms for $3.50 around there. And they had a lot of sea life, so I just thought this was so cute, but I didn't cut the ring off of it because I need it for another project. And so I just wanted to show you how cute, that would be on the wall. And that was what so much of that, of the pieces that the charms look like they would be wall decor. Just really cute stuff. So just set that down there. Okay, this is using coral. Now these boxes are made with another of the coffee stir sticks. Just really inexpensive, cute, just the right size, and just some little twine around the edge. It's up to you what kind to use. And I'll show you how to make these little bitty curls. And those look kind of cute in there. Just rustic. And then I had a little jar, so I filled it up with little seashells. Just something pretty to look at on your side table. And this is funny. I'm getting allergy shots, and I asked him to give me the syringe, and this was small. I did another project with this one, but I'm still working on. It's a small one. Now this one's a little bit bigger. If you have one of these, this right here looked to me like the top of this top of the inside looked to me like the top of a lighthouse. So I used the bigger one. If you have a bigger syringe or can get one at your doctor's office, I use that for the top. Now you could go in and put yellow or red, whatever light in there, but I just wanted it to be simple. But it's the angled part is in here for support, and then I just took paper clay and molded around with paper clay, real simple. And so it has a support in it, and then just make a little snake and make a door. And it was cute with the bottom, but the bottom was too big for I had to cut the bottom off of the, inside push part of the syringe because it was too big for the table. So simple to make, and I just think it's funny that things look like things that we can make miniatures out of. Okay, whoa, okay, so here's things I wanted to show you, and they're all falling out. Okay, so this is made with a bead cap, and this is one of those plastic bead caps that's just painted, colored chrome silver, but it's plastic or acrylic, I'm not sure which they call it, but it's a bead cap, so you might find it. It has a rope design if they put it under rope bead cap, but it's definitely one of those lightweight acrylic-y. And funny, I had to make like 75 of these for one of the SAM events, Society of American Miniaturists, and I was like trying to time myself. I got it down to 5 minutes. I thought that was pretty funny. Okay, now I've used lace in here. If you have some stiffer kind of lace, this was some bridal lace somebody gave me, and see how it's got the netting? It was just perfect to use this section of it, the netting, to put in the back to make it more interesting. And then I took this. It's kind of like burlap, but it's kind of a synthetic or something. It's more straw-like. It's real stiff. I don't know what to call it. If maybe somebody knows, they could leave it in the comments for everyone. And so I just took strands of this and curled it on my needle tool, and that's how I got you can see and I put Mod Podge on them to try to keep them curled a little better, if you want to just add some Mod Podge. Now you can do a piece of burlap, but let me show you the difference in the burlap. That's one strand of burlap curled, so it's quite a bit bigger than this other. But you can use, if you can find like a smaller strand of the burlap. Okay, so then here's one of the little charms, and it just has a little bead spacer glued to the back to help it sit flat. I love this little turtle, little sea turtle. And again, these were charms off of Temu. Okay, so this was supposed to, let me pull everything out and show it to you. I even had the way I was going to do it with the tweezers, but I kept knocking it around. Okay, so there's 3 layers so that I could put some tools in there and then put the book down here. And you can see this is about 1/16. I don't work in that size, so Tiny View does, and so I'm just trying to think. So anyway, if you want to do the small, that size works well with those toothpicks. So first off, when you're looking at a seashell, you're going to need to, let's see where it went to. Going to need to clean it up a bit. So I made a little brush to wipe them off, clean them off before we look at them through the magnifying glass. And draw them in our book, The Study of Sea Life. And so I penciled in. Now, I want to say, before you make your book is the better time to do your drawings and your writing. I was in a hurry, and so I had to do it after I made my book, which makes it a little more difficult to get to the pages. And there we are with our... Okay, and also it looked cute to put like a little shell on the outside, and I tacked it down with the glue dots, but they tend to pop off. So I'm going to try to find some Velcro and see if I can't, or maybe somebody can suggest something that would hold it. The glue dot held it at first, and then it... Now, if this was Mod Podge, I didn't Mod Podge it. If you want to, then that might actually hold with the glue dot. But let me show you how that's made, and I made this one and put the other kind of shell on it. Now it's holding with a glue dot. So the book is this. This is just a grocery bag, and I crunched it till it got soft to make it look like the leather binding. Just crunch it, and before you start the project, just crunch as much of it as you can the night before, and keep crunching it through the day, whatever. And it starts getting soft, almost like a fabric. And I think that you can cut out some steps to making this. Now, you can Mod Podge it if you want, but I use the alcohol pen. This is walnut. I really like this color. It's from Hobby Lobby. It's number 100 walnut. And if you can just get this color, this is a great color for projects. And that's what I used. I went over it, with the brush side of this, went over it, and then went back and put a second little bit around edges where you'd touch things to darken it. Anything that you would touch. A second layer just made it a little bit darker in those spots. And then you have to have paper for the inside. So get some kind of blue, maybe, paper that will go with, sea and water. And so I have this set up how I made it. Now, the first thing, you've got to get your pages. I just, took just paper from the copier that was left over. That was bad paper. And I layer them, and then I, with it, now it's going to be smaller on the inside, you see, because, it folds. So your little sheets are a little bit smaller, so you need to cut around. And then I poke holes with my needle tool. Poke through 4 holes to give yourself access to sew it. And put your knot on the outside, because that's going to glue in your binder. And so it's sewed through those 4. Real simple. Now you could, cut these and add glue and then pinch them with the, let them sit up like this. With the glue, you could do that too. So we have that ready. So now I need to make the outside. And so you do one big rectangle and then cut it into slices, because you want that to be able to move your when you open it. My first one, this one I didn't have that, and it pulled against the paper, pulled with the glue. The second one I did, and you see it opens. See it opens at the spot where it's separated and rounded. I round the center, so it's going to open a little better. So, do you see how it's rounded in that center? Just rounded around one of your paintbrushes or something. Okay, so then next you want to fold these in, but leave your corners out. Just fold in this, in the center, you glue in the center. And let me see where I put my glue, and we'll do that. And then you can see, because you want to cut the corners. And so I just push in the centers. Now I've already had glued the card. And the cardboard is just, cereal box or whatever. Macaroni and cheese. We have a lot of macaroni and cheese boxes. So then I did it this way so I could cut the corners at an angle. Kind of pinch them into place. And then take your smallest scissors and whoops, got stuff flying everywhere. But see, that way you'll have it. Okay, this is the point where you want to do your first if you use a pen or if you paint it, however you do it. This is when you want to do it before you put in this piece of paper into the center section. And after you use your ink, that's alcohol pen. After you use that, then leave one side unglued, because as you fold it in, it's going to change where that paper is going to hit. Might change it a little bit if you're familiar with making books. And then glue it down. And then we've already got this ready. So once this is set really well, then we just put that in and glue the binding part of it only, and then pinch it down with these. And you have your book. You have this cute little book. And all its pages and all. And then this is just folded over 3 times, 3 ways. And then cut and glued. I glued it on the back, and then I glue dotted on the front and put the little seashell on it. And so if you just make it a study of sea life, something like that, but do it, like I said, write it all in before you glue it together, because that makes it much more difficult. Okay, so I want to show you how to make some things. We have a little pencil. We have let's see, get some of these back out of the way. Yeah, I love these little charms. Charms are so much fun. You can get shoes, you can get wall decor, you can get all kinds of things. Okay, so this is using an earring back for the top and a little, I don't know, just a little ring that we got off of Temu, a bag full. These little rings, whatever ring you have. And then the plastic bead. I think those are called pony beads. And so then I made I'm not good at holding things. I tried 3 different tweezers. Believe me, I tried. Okay, so here's the little ink that you're going to dip into the well. And so let me show you how that's made. You'll need the silver for the tip. The black should be enamely, kind of shiny if you have the Testor's paint. And then the gold in the center to hold the tip. And then, of course, we all know how to make a pencil. So for your drawing, so you take one of these cocktail, there's two ways to do this. You can take your craft knife and actually cut it down. You can see what's great about these is you have this whole length of this to use for glue or to use for another project. So I really like these toothpicks. Okay, so I just went down and, came to a point. And then it just, I went ahead and painted it gold so you could see, because I use these for like a blush brush in my dollhouse bedrooms. I have that as well. It's just a little bit smaller bristles. And then on this one, you can see it's just barely hanging on. This one I used a file. And let me tell you that this is a great time of year before Father's Day to look for these little groups of files or little hand saws, all these kind of things. Go look around. I found these at Walgreens years ago. There was 5 or 6 of them, all different shapes, but these are great. And so Harbor Freight might have them for Father's Day. They're inexpensive, like $5 for a set of something. So this one I just went in and I just, used the file on it and did the same thing, but a little more control, I think, than the knife. And then just pop it off. And here you have this for another project or for your pencil. So now you can, the first one, the blushers, I typically cut the tip in half, the very tip section. I cut it in half so it's just not so long. So that's up to you. Now here, when you're making the pen, you need to come to a point. So if you have any toothpicks that are flat on one side, that's the best one to use, because you're going to flatten this side. You have to flatten one side before you sand with your nail file. See, it's flat on the one side, and then it's made to a point, almost like a parrot beak. And then come to the back side and do the same thing we did with the blusher and bring it to a point. And then you'll have it. It's real simple. And then paint it. Super simple. So here's the 3 colors of paint. And you can see the little tip. And really, you really can't mess up the tip. Just flatten it on one side and then bring it to a point by sanding each side with your little nail file. Okay, so we have this left to do. Super simple. All that is a little jewelry finding, a little split ring, or not split ring, jump ring. And we just cut off a piece of the stick to be the handle. And then I put this on a piece of plastic. Put the jump ring on a piece of plastic. and filled it with UV resin, put it underneath the light, and that's where you get the ring filled in with what's supposed to look like glass. I did try a Temu version of diamond glaze, and it wasn't thick enough. It was just coming out the underneath the sides, so that's why I went to the UV resin. You might have a little thicker one. If you do, that would work for you, because I have seen people fill them up with the diamond glaze or the triple thick, whatever dries clear, and then use your go ahead and use your paint pen to darken this, and then you super glue the two of them together, and you have a little magnifying glass to look at your seashells to do your drawings. Okay, so here lastly we've got pieces of this that's left over can be turned into wonderful little pencils. Now, when you do the tip, you need to cut back on the on a regular toothpick tip. They're too, pointy, too long, elongated, pointy. They look wrong that way. And then, of course, this is the old style, the orangey, and this is the newer yellowy. And then you just have like a little silver or a little gold band. And I use a red Sharpie marker on the back end. Just that simple. Oh, I was going to tell you I bought at Dollar Tree, they started carrying the little pony beads, the plastic beads, and they're a little bit smaller. See this size? A little bit smaller. They're in the craft section. And they also had those little googly eyes. They had 2 different packages of those. So they've got some new things at Dollar Tree. So this is the old style I had. I don't have very many black, but this is that size that they just started carrying. So here's your pieces for the inkwell is, your pony bead, this little round piece, and then your earring, your gold earring back. And I just got a bag of these off Temu, because I did find them later that, we used to use them and they get too big inside, and so we throw them into a box or something, and I found a whole bunch of them that were old ones. Now, I did have a suggestion for, if you don't find the bead cap, why don't you use an acorn? The outside of it. These have wonderful texture. Look at that texture. Isn't that wonderful? Now this one's kind of big, but still small enough for dollhouse scale. But you could paint it silver or bronze or brass. This one is using the tester's brass. And you just sand off that little nub on the backside. But this would hold seashells really nicely. And it's free. Free to find the acorn shells. I don't know what they call that, shell. I sanded this one down because it had a little notch out of it. And looked like a little bowl. Just great. Just need to paint it. So here's some others of the those charms that I got off Temu. I'm using them in another project, so I can't use this one up. But they had 3 in there, and they had quite a number of things. This was just the section that, you get 100 of them. This was just a section of sea life and stars and moon and but pretty good size, like 3 turtles and sun and a moon and these 3, and they had owls in there. I've got a project for an owl, so those were really cute. And just I think hundreds of them is for $3.50 is quite a deal. So this is what I used, for book, just any old thing that you have. And for the curls, I just used my needle tool to curl one of those pieces. And if you want to Mod Podge it, so I just pulled a piece off and just put it on the needle tool and, you know, pull it together. You can Mod Podge it, and that'll help keep the curl. Otherwise, looks like it'll stay, but then it kind of slowly gets bigger. But this is really great for putting, I don't know what this is, if somebody knows what it is. I don't know what it's called. It's just very thin, kind of shiny, straw-like. Okay, so using this to make the box is so simple. It's just 4 pieces, and then the back will be the jumbo, what we have of the jumbo popsicle stick. So this is the piece of the popsicle stick, and this is the 2 inside ends and the 2 sides. Just super simple to make that. And what you want to do with it is paint it the, you know, whatever color you choose, whether it's a navy or more of a royal blue or more of a sea color. You can use twine and braid it, and that will be real cute around the edge. Just a little skinny. They have a roll of this at Dollar Tree in the automotive section, I think. What they call automotive, or paintbrushes, and where you find the wood glue. Now that looks cute, and then you could do rope around, just like the skinny rope. You could do that and tie that off. That would be cute. You could even do this. Put this rope, I had this around the blue one, and I just was playing with this last night. I was like, this is going to be cute. And put your little wall decor, put that inside of it, and hang that on the wall. Make it rustic. You want to use your Waverly wax or your little ink stamp wax, you know, ink pad, and go around the edges and give it some dimension and aging. But that would be cute on the wall. As well as putting the shells. Okay, so how you make these, that's the last thing, is how to make the coral. So let me show you the big piece. This is the original big piece that really is one of my favorite of my pieces. I love coral, and I've got them in frames, but this is the big piece. It sits up. You can see all these amazing little holes. There's just sea life in all of those little tiny holes. So all you do is take a piece of paper clay and a toothpick. And if your paper clay dries out, I take glue. I just put added some my craft glue into it, kind of revitalize it, because it started crumbling. Okay, so here is all I did to make the various shapes. You can probably pull them up online and get ideas, but this one that I have, it has like an indentation, so I probably should have put the indentation in first and then go back. So it starts looking like a seashell. So you can see I did this one in the middle back. And these right here are done with, wrap your paper clay onto your needle tool and kind of thin out the edges. And then I painted these with watered down paint colors, just real watered down. But it's paper clay, this tubing, paper clay. And then you can make like a little sand dollar and just different shapes. And this box is, you know, just using this on the inside, do across full sizes and then fill in with little pieces of your coffee stir stick. So I think that's got everything. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel, and if you're returning, I'm glad to see you back here, and I'd love to hear your comments and any advice you have on where to find things and what things are called. And I appreciate you coming by. Thank you. Bye-bye.